moved you around.
What is that? It's like laying down.
I can't see you now, Matt. I've got something going off here. Oh, that's it. Well,
Adam, you've done it. 30.
Hang on.
All I can see is your gangly fingers fingering screen.
Oh, well, fuck it. I'll do it without seeing Matt. I'm sure it'll show up in it later when it records anyway. So, everybody who's watching, this is Lockdown Beers with Mr. Eddie Power, the new owner of the Irish Drift series and commentator and podcast man from the Power in the Tower podcast. How are we getting on, Eddie?
Not so bad. The podcast has been a while, actually, since I've done. So not since. I don't think I've done one in 2020. No.
How did that drop off?
Too much hard work trying to get people to commit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like everything.
Yeah.
You know, the first few are easy, and then people kind of just go, no. So, no, it was good fun, and it was more so an idea just to keep me involved in drifting, because obviously my future was uncertain at the end of last year, and then the opportunity came along for ownership of the IDS. So priorities changed a little bit.
So, you're taking over IDS, starting IDS. Was it really a last minute thing, or did you just do it for suspense and you were always taking over?
No, it really was like a last minute thing. I'm trying to remember the timeline, but I don't think it really got confirmed until around December last year. So it was something that had been discussed with me by somebody else prior to it. You know, there was a possibility that I was going to be involved in helping run it with a group of people, but that fell through. So then there was just obviously other people that were looking at taking it on. So I kind of took myself out of the equation already altogether, because the idea of running the championship was something that never really crossed my mind. So I've got enough problems in my life.
But you thought you'd just take on another mammoth task.
Yeah, well, I suppose it came about because it was looking like nothing was going to happen at all, and I just figured, well, can we put something together just to even do a year of it? Because that would be better than nothing. At least the sport then wouldn't, you kind of run the risk of dying in the country. I always kind of felt like if we lost a year of competition, it could be harder to come back from that than to start something up. So, so many people's kind of hobbies and pastime, and it's their getaway from their day-to-day life. They depend on drifting at the weekend. Those 5 weekends of the year, 6 weekends of the year in Ireland. So, to me, it was such a huge part of the last 8 or 9 years of my life. I kind of felt, well, right, can we put something in place here just to put a season together? And if I'm not the right person to continue this after that, well, we'll make that decision down the line. But let's give it a go at least. So that's where we are, and still hoping we can give it a go.
You just touched on saying that about stuff is people's getaway and stuff like that. What is your 9-to-5 job?
So my 9-to-5 job is I test people for their driving license. So it's not too far away from drifting, really, because all I do in drifting is comment on how good or bad people are, and that's pretty much what I do in my day-to-day life as well. So,
so you should be a judge, really, then, shouldn't you?
Yeah, strictly speaking, I suppose.
With people driving day to day.
Yeah. I suppose it's a lot easier to find the mistakes when you're sitting beside the person than when you're trying to watch it from the track. But judging, I don't think it's something I don't think I have the attention span to be a judge. But commentary, I can just about get away with,
Wing it through.
I've been doing an all right job bluffing that one for a while, but.
So, do we think Dave knew all about this coronavirus, and that's why he palmed Irish drifting off on you and British drifting off on Matt?
Absolutely, yeah. I think I think Dave has like a secret line to I don't know who, but powers that be, and somebody who can see into the future, because he seems to make the right moves at the right times with a lot of things, and he, I think he gets out of he's I think he got out of BDC at the right time, and a difficult time for someone like Matt to start. Sorry, Matt, but even now with IDS, I suppose, hoping obviously that IDS goes ahead this year. If it doesn't go ahead this year and it goes ahead next year, it's going to be the same issue. And Matt had it last year, where a lot of your big name drivers that are household names are moving on to the European Series, or maybe just falling out of the competition or out of drifting altogether. So you're trying to build new characters and build new names and bring new people into the sport and make them household names. So I think that's a challenge in itself. And then obviously those drivers need to get up to the standard that guys that are leaving and going on to bigger and better things, they have to kind of reach that standard, so that it's the same sort of spectacle for the audience and the people that are tuning in. So I think that is a real challenge, and it's what's probably changed most in Irish drifting it will be this year, and probably for Matt last year was having that issue of, say, losing your Matt Carters, your and some of your other drivers that are going on to those competitions. Would you agree with that, Matt?
Yeah, definitely. It's always been a challenge from, straight away I knew the big name drivers weren't going to be there, and it's not just to do with. It's to do with how drifting's progressing, with obviously Driftmasters coming into the game. There is that progression opportunity, so they can move up. I've looked for the good sides to it, in that it's given the underdogs a chance to grow, and like you just mentioned, then it's given them the chance to like build a name for themselves. So like the Ricky Lawrences, the Martin Wonnacotts, all them sort of people who are now in the UK, the household names that newer fans, they're oblivious to the Martin Richards and the Matt Carters and stuff. They just see that Martin Wonnacott is just one of the best in UK drifting. That's just the end of. Do you know what I mean? That's what they see. So it's not all negatives, but it then creates at the certain events where the even bigger names, the Jacks, the Connors, the James Deans, and all that lot that do come, it's an even bigger spectacle then, as opposed to it just being, yeah, of course Dwayne's coming, of course Jack's coming, or whatever. You've got that next step up that makes it even more savage.
Yeah, and I'm inclined to agree with you that it's, I suppose, don't want to come across as thinking as though that's a negative. I just think it's a big change, and it's probably the first time for drifting in Ireland and the UK where and maybe drifting as a whole, because if you look at other sports, you've had, in Formula One, you have your Lewis Hamilton era at the moment, and in MotoGP, you had your Rossi and Max Biaggi era. Back in F1 and back in the day, you had your Michael Schumacher era. But every time those guys move on, new names and new blood come into the equation. And I think for drifting, it's probably the first time where we're losing pretty much all of the big names, and you have to replace those. So it'll probably happen, and hopefully happen many, many times again in the future, but probably the first time in drifting's short history that has happened.
I think it's I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. Like, I think it's quite good to obviously them people who were the bigger names have obviously moved on. There's that big space open to make a name for yourself, and you to be the next Matt Carter or the next Jack Shanahan or whatever, isn't it? For all the drivers. But I
think the thing about it as well is that, say, for a long time in Ireland, we had James, and say Dwayne was, kicking at his heels, but never really reaching the heights that James had set, or the standard that James had set. He was always very, very close, but he wasn't getting the win over him. Yeah. And, you had James in the competition for people to try and, gauge their ability of. When you take those drivers out,
it's not a one-off race no more, is it?
It's not a one-off, yeah, but it's harder for those guys to gauge their progress. So I think the leap, say, now from, say, Irish or UK drifting into Europe could be harder to gauge, because you haven't got the likes of James or Matt Carter to, compare yourself off at each round throughout your championship season.
We might have Matt Carter back this year, because he said he's not driving in Europe, hasn't he? So see if he does come back. But
would you let him back in, Matt?
So, do you want to tell us a bit about your drift history, Eddie? What got you into it? Where did we start? How did you end up in Tower and being the owner of the Irish Drift Series?
Yeah, I mean, it all kind of comes back to a freak encounter with Dave Egan. I think I don't know how many years. I'm terrible with, people tell stories and they say, oh, it was, 1963, or remember it like it was yesterday. I'm terrible with years, but yeah, it was a freak encounter with Dave. Met him one night through another guy that we know, Paddy Mackin, who used to be a photographer at a lot of the drift events in Pro Drift and ITC. And there was an event on in Punchestown the very next day. So we decided to rock up to that. And I think Dave had a car on display. We went along for that. It was an absolute cracking day. It was sunshine, something Matt would know nothing about.
Were you friends with Dave before then? Or did you meet Dave at this event?
I'd never met him. This was literally like I'd met him the night before, and we decided we were going to go to this event the next day. Never met him before.
Right.
So yeah, I was instantly just blown away by it. And you can imagine this is probably maybe 12 years ago. So the standard you can imagine wouldn't have been, it's nowhere near as professional as it is now. But to me, it was still a spectacle. I'd never seen anything like it. And, I remember seeing like the WKD guys with their branding on the doors, and Barry's Motorsport, there were two McCarthy brothers. I never seen Dwayne in his car, and I just thought like this was unbelievable. I thought they were professional teams. I suppose I saw it that day the way new people that come and watch an event see it now, and I don't really see it that way anymore because I'm so in tune with it and so numb to it and oblivious to it all. But that's how I saw it that day, and I just thought this is just crazy. And then I think we ended up going to a few practice days, got to sit in the car with somebody in the passenger seat, and I was even more blown away with door-on-door action and stuff like that. And then the event started coming. Dave got involved doing a few gigs commentary, and he just needed a little bit of help with the notes. Obviously, without the live stream, it was like, all the notes and all the scoring was old Excel spreadsheets on computers. Probably what we're going to go back to now this year. So he just needed a little bit of help, just kind of, seeing where people were in the order through qualifying and stuff like that. So I was like, right, I'll go down and I'll give you a hand with that. And it was just a way for me to kind of be involved. And then when Graham eventually signed over IDC to Kieran Hines, I think that was 2013, they had an agreement with some radio DJ to come down and comment. So I'd been helping Dave, and basically the agreement was that I was going to help this guy the same way I'd help Dave, give him the information and maybe do a small little bit of commentary with him. And the guy never showed, or at least this was a story I was told. So I think about an hour before qualifying at round 1, 2013, they said, this guy hasn't arrived and we need you to do the commentary, because David now decided that he was going to compete. So he had bought I think he had his S14, and he was going to compete in that. So it was Saturday, Pro-Am.
Can you just move your camera up a bit, Eddie?
I can try.
I kind of can just see to your eyes, like. That's better.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's
better. So yeah, just before qualifying, and they just said to me, just call out the driver's name at the start and just call out the score then at the end. So I was like, well, I can probably do a little bit more than that. I've listened to Dave shite on for the last 3 years. So I was like, I'll give this a bit more of a go. And it wasn't a total disaster anyway, long story short. And I don't know how...
Bumper to bumper, door to door.
Yeah, wheel to wheel. He tags the wall.
It's a pretty basic job when you break it down. So that's really what I did. Just kind of gave it a go, and they were like, everybody was like, really impressed. I'm kind of a quiet enough guy, so everybody just thought we haven't really heard Eddie speaking a whole lot before, so they were a bit shocked. So that kind of just became it. Then it was kind of took off from there. And then I suppose done events all across Europe, and it's been been a pretty enjoyable ride, I suppose.
Yeah,
A lot of really good memories. Met a lot of good people along the way.
You went to Driftmasters as well, didn't you, doing the pit reporting there, and you've obviously been over to BDC.
Yes, and looking forward to getting back to BDC as well.
Oh yeah, you're commentating this season, aren't you? If it happens.
Once we're
it'll happen.
You what, sorry?
I said it'll happen.
I've got faith. It'll happen. We'll be drifting again. It'll all be good.
I'm lost. Hang on. Obviously, with your commentating and stuff, you like Dave's got quite a lot of things that he always says, but you kind of mix it up a bit. You don't just say the same thing at time after time, which is quite impressive, I think.
He must have a phrase. I know he's got. I'm trying to think now. There's some certain words that you say a lot.
But I remember getting a lot of stick for, I think it was proximity. So I remember there was people online. It was a good few years ago. It was probably a few years into us starting, and people were giving us shit for saying proximity all the time. So we were like, right, let's see if we can how often we can say proximity.
Just say it even more.
Yeah. No, I try and mix it up a little bit. Like I like, I suppose, every now and again getting a few one-liners in there. And I suppose I think one of the best ones was "Hit Me Brady One More Time." That was probably. I don't think I'll ever.
This is my next thing that I was leading it into. You've given quite a few drivers the nicknames over years. Can you? Obviously, these "Hit Me Brady One More Time," like the Thunder from Down Under.
Yeah, I don't know. Were you doing the Drift Games quiz yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wasn't sure was Dave going to give me the credit for it or not, so I was sitting there waiting to pounce.
Yeah, obviously Andy Frost called him the Iceman, which he's took that and now he's named his business after as well, hasn't he?
Did I give him that one?
Yeah, apparently.
No,
I think it was the first BDC round he competed at. You started calling him the Iceman.
Yeah.
But which nickname do you think's the best one that you've given over the years?
I'd have to say probably the one that's carried the most anywhere, the one that I'm most aware of. And people feel free to let me know of any others that I've given and I've forgotten about. But the Thunder from Down Under, I suppose, has really stuck with Mitch Larner, and I think because of how much driving he does and how successful he is, that's probably one of the better ones. I know, like, Dave would have given Dwayne the Northern Smoke Machine, and then that gets you, and the Machine for James as well. I think he used, you know what I mean. So it is
that Dave, the Machine.
I think so, yeah. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
Claim it for your son, Eddie. Claim it for your son, pal.
So no, it is nice to see, because I remember after I said "Hit Me Brady One More Time," Chris made T-shirts, and then I'm pretty sure that Jules Chambers and his band did a cover of the song "Hit Me Baby One More Time" with "Hit Me Brady One More Time" in it. So that's kind of, all those little things are pretty cool. Like, you kind of go, I've started something there.
To me, yeah.
And then there's obviously just kind of giving Tomas Falvey as much stick as possible for, we like to give him a hard time on commentary as well.
He's a good lad, Falvey. So, do you know what, if Matt comes over to Ireland, obviously, because he's rebuilding his car, he likes to call himself the Yorkshire Smoke Machine, which is posted a few times on Facebook. Is there any chance you can call him that?
Don't listen to me.
We call him the Mannequin Molester.
But yeah, that's better. I'll take that one.
Yeah.
It's I think I'm gonna come over this year and do a little bit of if I'm allowed over.
I think that's that's probably my biggest concern for this year, is not that whether or not anything could go ahead. It would be the fact that there could be difficulty in Irish guys getting to the UK to compete in PDC, and PDC guys getting over to Ireland to compete in IDS. Obviously, I'd love to be involved to commentate this year as well, if we can get over there. But that's what I think they're the things that are really kind of hang in the balance. I think we can make the events happen, but it's those little kind of logistical things that cause the problems.
Yeah, definitely agreed.
So with the IDS, where are the rounds going to be? Obviously, we don't know what's happening, but if they were happening, say starting from now, where have you got the rounds planned?
Well, the initial calendar was to have rounds in Mondello, Punchestown, and Watergrass Hill. So Punchestown kind of hangs in the balance a little bit. The big thing here is that, and I'd say it's very much the same for yourself, Matt, is that, you know, things almost change every single day. And very reluctant to kind of cancel plans too early and make new ones. But if I was a betting man, I'd say the likelihood would be, kind of don't want to give too much away, because basically our plan in the next week to week and a half is to kind of contact our drivers with our plan and go from there. But I would say we'll definitely be looking at, you can say Mondello and Watergrass Hill would be definites. Punchestown is kind of a let's wait and see kind of a location. So
yeah, because there's a big car show there as well, so it'll be a hell of a lot of people.
Exactly, yeah, and we're kind of riding on that event actually happening. It's not out of the equation, but it just becomes a different event if it was just drifting to be there, and just in terms of renting the venue and everything like that, it just becomes a different thing to think about in terms of a financial decision for the company. So it just gets that, all these little things just add in different elements or different complications. So that one is one that we're working on the idea, but we'll see. Kind of August is still a long time away, so we'll see what happens.
We'll go on, Matt.
It's nice to have someone else who's in a similar boat, because you have to make the plans. You can't cancel anything too soon. You can't let too many people know. Like, forget about Corona. Beginning of this year, the back end of last year, I can try to think where it was. Like early on last year, I had everything for this year sealed, sorted, signed, and I purposely didn't tell anyone anything. And since then, the plans changed like a lot, and even up until about, I'm trying to think roughly when it was, but very close towards the end of the year, way too close to Autosports to revealing everything. Like 4 of the 6 rounds totally changed, and I'm getting abuse is a strong word, but I'm getting pushed from staff, drivers, everybody wanting to know the plans. But luckily I held off as long as I could, because if you the minute you tell people, all people want to do is try and help you. They want to sort the dates out and book time off and everything. But then if you tell them, they then book that time off.
Exactly, yeah.
And then you've got to then go, oh, well, it was 99% confirmed, but things have changed. We had to move this. And then it's just it's that knock-on effect. So usually keeping things quiet, although people don't see it, it's in everybody's interest to not shout about it until you're as confirmed as possible.
Yeah, and I'm inclined to agree. And that's the problem, is that people, and it's understandable, I've worked in certain jobs where, people are they want your holidays in November this year for the following year. Like, I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow, never mind what I'm doing, in 12 months' time. So I can understand that from people, but, there is a real risk when you start to announce things too early, because so much can change. And to be fair, from the start, my plans for this year were to err on the side of caution. And that has really saved us, because we were probably blessed that this happened at the time that it did, because had it been a week or two later, that's when the ball would have been in motion to really kind of kick off and start ordering just even things like door cards and all our branding and everything like that. And that would have put a lot more pressure on the situation had we made those financial investments. So very lucky that we, have not made that commitment and hadn't made it. We obviously will at some point, but again, yeah, it is. It's trying to plan everything just so that the timing is perfect. Obviously, Matt, you've had a year under your belt, so you were wise to all of this. I'm learning new stuff like every day, and I remember you said to me, you messaged me saying, how many things have you been asked? And you've realised, oh shit, I'm responsible for that now.
That happened so many times, and I remember that through the year. I remember before the NEC round when a question came up at some point about toilets, and I went, oh shit, that's literally on me. I need to sort getting the toilets for that event.
And that didn't go very well, did it? One of them got nicked.
Oh yeah, one of them was robbed.
Back though, didn't it? Worked for my, got it back. That they were saying though, again, it's true, because there's so many bits that I've like invested in for this year or spent money on, a loads of stuff, like tens of thousands of pounds on stuff that some of it either I'm not going to get back, some of it is literally wasted. It's printed material potentially that's for dates that aren't even happening anymore. Or with venues, let's say I've got a lot of money at stake at the minute with one of the venues that they've agreed to give me the money back, but they've also got to refund a hell of a lot of other people. And if everybody asks for it at the same time, that business is going under. That means I'm not getting the money back. So there's a lot of the knock-on effect all the way down the line is huge. Like, and people just, it's not just a case of the drivers pay the money and it just sits in my bank account until the event. It's like it's spent before we even get there.
That's the other side of it, is that like venues are generally, well, I won't say generally, but a lot of the times venues can be, on the brink of closing their doors at any point. They're under enough pressure with complaints, and then just getting dates, booking dates, restriction of dates. Like, obviously, it takes a lot to run these places. So, it's for them to lose as many events or weekends or days that that they're going to lose throughout this year. It could mean that they can't open their doors again. So the whole thing is just it's a big puzzle, and it's a big mystery in terms of it's just never as simple as you think. There's so many complications, and there's always something that you just kind of go, somebody'd say something to you, you go, I've never even thought of that side of it, and I was delighted to say that I never had to think about any of it before. And when I was watching Smoke and Mirrors, and Dave was talking about, seeing comments come through on live stream, and I was like, that were negative. And I was sitting beside him, never even realized that this was going on. Obviously, I know people like are keyboard warriors, and I've seen people say shit about me as well, like after the event online. But to see that sort of stuff, when you're at a top 16 stage, and then be professional enough to block it out and still carry on through is a hell of a thing. So. It's you just never really know fully what's going on behind the scenes.
No. Will you be commentating this year in Ireland, or are you going to be taking a step back from that and running the show kind of thing?
I've got no choice. I was trying to step back a little bit just so that I could have some level of freedom to be reactive to what's happening at the event. But one of the big things for me was that I'm very conscious that Dave Egan has, I won't say completely carried, but he's been instrumental in, he's been the voice of drifting. Next to J-Rod, he's probably the most recognizable drift commentator in the world, So
I don't know. I think it'd be a good toss-up between him and Dave. Dave does more, doesn't he?
He does more, and a lot of people would argue that Dave's better, but let's put it this way: Jared's in the position of being in the biggest championship in the world. But a lot of people are for and against his style of commentary, as they would be with anybody's commentary, I suppose. So you'll always have people that like and dislike what you do. But to be losing Dave as a commentator, and then for myself having to step into that role. Also very conscious that we're losing, say on the initial plans at least, we're losing live stream. So you're trying to encourage people to come to the events and then make that event very enjoyable for the people that have paid to come through the door. So it's worthwhile for them. So you don't want to it's like, it's a really weird situation. It's like, I don't need the live stream to be as professional, I don't need the commentary to be as professional because it's not going to be live streamed across the world. But at the same time, I don't want the people that are paying their money to come through the gate to be given a bad show.
If it ain't got to be professional, why don't you get Ben and Wando over? Because them two's commentary when they were together at BDC years ago were fucking brilliant.
Well, the plan was to have Wando come over for a few rounds at least, but whether or not he'll be able to is another thing. But yeah, I mean, look, he's commentating on everything else, so why not get him on?
And he loves it, doesn't he? He lives for it.
Yeah,
We had him on a few weeks ago, and he were.
I love commentating with Ian as well. You know, he's the type of guy you could just, if you needed to, you could leave him for an hour on his own. You know what I mean? It's not going to be a problem.
Yeah.
And he's so knowledgeable as well.
Who's your favourite person to commentate with? Out of all the people you've commentated with, who would you say is the best and why?
Ooh.
Don't hold back.
That is a tough question.
He's like, well, if I don't say Dave, he'll not help me with all my ideas. So.
No, it's okay. I don't fear him that much. That is a tough question. Do you know what? Different people for different reasons. I love commentating with Neil Dunn, just because he's just Neil Dunn.
Mm.
You know, there's no. He is who he is. He's very knowledgeable. He knows all the drivers and he knows everything about their cars. He's the type of guy that doesn't need to go into the tower with notes, which is
full
crazy.
Useless information.
Like
yeah, and
like
if you
me.
think I've got good one-liners, that guy has the best one-liners ever. So, but I suppose I always felt that me and Ian gelled very quickly together. And I remember I think the first time we commentated together was it would have been in IDC. And instantly it was just, you know, it was seamless, you know. So, and then obviously I've commentated with Dave from the very start of my career. So and I know Dave for so long that there was always that element of, that definitely helped get me comfortable in the role, because like a lot of people wouldn't notice. This is probably the funniest thing about me being a commentator, is that I used to DJ for like birthday parties and, you know, whatnot, you know, corporate functions. And the biggest thing that scared me about DJing is the reason I quit was because I didn't like speaking on the microphone. So, the thought of that just kept me awake at night, for years. So I just was like, nah, I'm packing this in. But when I started commentating with Dave, when you were up in the tower, especially when we had, like, everything was kind of enclosed, you could just block out everything. Everything outside was just, you know, it didn't exist, and it was just a conversation.
Like when you were talking to your friend or something.
That's it. That's all it was. That's all I ever looked at it as. So that was always kind of special. But I don't know. I think I've enjoyed commentating with pretty much everybody that I've commentated with.
Yeah, you need to commit to one person. You can only have to pick one favourite, and you've got to pick them.
No, man.
You've got to. This whole thing, usually we're a bit pissed, and we force people into saying somebody, so you've got to say somebody.
Okay, Neil Dunn.
Neil Dunn. Didn't take much twisting your arm there, Eddie. Obviously, you've done quite a bit of commentating. Have you ever been asked to commentate anything else other than drifting? Or have you commentated anything else?
I was supposed to do a hot rodding event at the start of 2019, or at some stage of 2019. Never ended up doing it. Did a couple of festivals, festivals and the motor festivals. There was about 10 minutes down the road from where I live, there's another town. They have like this motor festival every year. I mean, if you want to consider it maybe like the Isle of Man on a very small scale, where they close off the road and it's just like classic bikes and everything, and they race around a loop, and then there's all classic cars, and there was a drifting demonstration at it. It was like Hankook tires back in the day, so it would have been Adrian Walsh, Mike Fitz, and I did a small little bit of introduction to that. Well, it was, I mean, look, it's drifting again, so it's probably the wrong answer. No.
So a lot of people probably don't know, but you have got your own drift car.
Yes,
Do you want to tell us a bit about your car? Tell us what it is, what you got done to it and stuff.
Right. Oh, well, can I phone a friend as to what that's like? I'd need to ring Dean Martin and say, Dean, what did you do? So, yeah, I bought. This is actually my second drift car, believe it or not. So, I don't have a whole lot of space where I live. So, cars have never been, and drift
Have
cars.
you not got a shed?
No.
I thought everyone in Ireland had a massive shed on the back garden.
No.
All right.
All the drivers do. That's why they're able to drive. But no. So my car gets stored out with Wayne Curran. But I had I picked up an R32 Skyline a good number of years ago for €2,000, and I'd love to say that I drifted it, but it was probably more like time attack than anything else. Competed in a competition, and I've only ever been beaten by one person, so that's pretty cool.
What competition did you drive in?
Oh, it was something in Watergrass Hill. It was like Drift Fest or Ultimate Drift or something back in the day. It was So
I got that down as one of my questions. Will we ever see Eddie Power compete? I didn't realise you already had.
Well, to be honest, I would love to. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to compete in Ireland anytime soon. I would love to come over to the BDC and do a round at some point. So, hint, Matt. You want to loan me a car?
We'll have a chat another day.
You can borrow my Z3 if you want. I've got a Z3 as well as this. So if you want to drive over here, just give us a shout and I'll bring it up.
I quite fancy myself in the Z4, being honest.
You're not be able to see on the steering wheel, are you?
Well, if you've ever seen the pictures of me in my E46, people are always saying, like, why is no one driving that car?
Oh, so you have actually told everybody what your car is now? Back to the original question.
328 E46, cheap and cheerful. It's not really got a whole lot done to it. We stripped it out, put in an M3 rad, hydro, obviously, bucket seats, obviously. And yeah, I mean, there wasn't really a whole lot done to it. We gave them a quick service. There was coilovers in it already, so we kind of just, they were a little bit seized. We bought the car for €1,000, and so it was pretty cheap. And yeah, it's just a cheap bit of fun. Put wheels on it, sprayed it black with Mike Leeson in a freezing cold shed in Mondello Park.
The Huxley Motorsport kit on it.
Yes, the Huxley kit is on it. It sat in my house for about, I'd say, close to a year before we actually fitted it, and managed to not destroy it, which was surprising because I'm generally off track, So, but no, it's good. It's cheap fun, and for someone who can only get out a couple of times a year, it's exactly what I need. As I say, it's stored in Wayne Curran stores, but it's stored outside. So, like, I wouldn't want to invest, 10 grand in a car that's going to sit outside. It's not really worth it. Plus, I wouldn't get the value out of a car that's worth 10 grand either. So it's whatever, But I definitely need to put a cage into it so that I can, because at the bash days, without a cage, you can only go one car at a time.
Right.
Which kind of defeats the purpose of drifting, really. So you're not really getting to have the real fun.
But do you not fall under the Drift Games team thing? So obviously I've seen Josh driving, twinning up with people, and he didn't have a cage in his car.
Oh.
Do you not? Obviously, you're one at Drift Games people. Do you not fall under that?
Well, strictly speaking, a lot of people seem to think this for whatever reason. I don't know, but just because I commentate. But I don't actually work for Drift Games. But also, it's Drift Games and Club Loose. And the Club Loose guys, in fairness to them, they run a really tight ship, and they are very strict on it, as they should be. Because I have got myself caught up in 12-car trains in the middle of Mondello, leading them and kind of going,
sounds safe.
Oh, shit. And if all those cars have big bumper bars and everything like that, you don't want one of them coming through your door. So Eric and the guys they're absolutely right to try and minimize that. But no, there is certain leeways given to Mike and Josh. But at the same time, I don't think that it's not the case that they're going out into 12-car trains either when they're when they're recording their videos. You know.
Do you get quite a few people who think you work at Drift Games? Because I get a hell of a lot of people think I work at Slide. So people are messaging me all the time to like try and book the cars in and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't even work there. I just drive through.
I would never employ Adam Simmons.
Yeah, I mean, surely everybody would know that, man. Yeah, you kind of, I don't know, I think maybe not that I'm employed full time, but probably that I have more involvement than I actually do. You know, people think that I know what's going on in the daily ins and outs of Drift Games. And a lot of the time I've no idea. So like, you know, say when I'm watching Smoke and Mirrors, I'm learning a lot of it firsthand in terms of the financial pressures. Now, obviously, having a friendship with Dave and being around the guys and going over and doing videos, you do hear different things, but it's not as though I'm kind of, you know, if they're having a meeting on something that I'm sitting in on it taking notes or whatever, you know. So,
yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. Everybody thinks I know everything about BDC, and Matt tells me all tracks. Like I have countless people messaging me going, "So where are all tracks this year and all this?" Like Matt does not tell me a fucking thing because he knows I can't keep my mouth shut.
What was that other bit of advice you gave to me, Matt? Keep your circle close, or keep a small circle.
I've learned that definitely, that you start.
Simo, you're on the outer rim there.
Oh mate, I'm way past it. I'm nowhere near rim.
I remember at one point once I realised that, I was like, right, so people are spreading rumours out there and like not keeping. Yeah, I'll not tell anyone, mate. Yeah, but then it spreads around. So I'd tell certain people things that just blatantly weren't true, and just wait for it to come back round to me, and be like, "Well, Adam's the grass telling people stuff."
Yeah, I think I'll have failed first one of them.
Yeah,
you're useless, mate.
Wayne Coyne's a good man for that in Ireland. Actually, he's constantly he likes the idea of telling people stuff and letting it float around. You know, just putting a few ideas out there, Chinese whisper style.
Yeah, it's a good game.
What is your best drift memory, Eddie? Obviously, you've been in it for a long time. I'm sure you've had some pretty good. You've made a lot of memories from it. What is the best one that you can think of?
This is something that I was chatting to Dave about at the weekend, actually, because somebody brought up on, I think it was like one of the Q&As that the guys were doing about, you know, funny things that have happened in drifting over the years. And not just in drifting, just in my day-to-day life, I just have the worst memory ever. And I you know, when I do something often enough, all the memories kind of fade into one. So I never really remember everything. I even after an event, I'd have forgotten what happened in all the battles. Like a driver would come up to me like, "What do you think about my battle with such and such?" I'm like, I'll have to watch it back and get back to you. But in terms of good memories, I don't think I'll ever forget the night in Plock where Conor Shanahan beat James Dean.
Yep.
First time at a European event, and that was something really, really special. The crowd there, the effort they put into the event, the organisers, I mean, it was like nothing I'd ever seen before. And then for Conor to beat James in the fashion that they did, that track in Plock in the stadium was just crazy as well. And it's a shame that we're going to lose that venue. You know, if it doesn't happen this year, I don't think it's going to happen again. So that's a real shame. But that was a really special night. I don't think I'll ever forget the indoor event we did in Ireland and Cork. Losing my voice. That was, but again,
do you not lose your voice at every event?
Yeah, but I really lost it. That was like the reason I lose it at every event now is because I lost it really bad at that event. You know,
right?
I think you can still find the live stream somewhere, and if you watch the final with James Dean and Jonathan, I remember Pete Nielsen and Tomas Falvey were just standing to the left of me on the balcony, and they were looking over at the bit, and they were just saying like, why are you even trying to continue? And I was just like, you know, committed till the end. But yeah, but that was a really special event just because of how close Jack got to beating James. obviously being indoors, it was a pretty cool
Did Jack
spectacle.
win?
No. James won. But they went one more time twice, I think, if memory serves.
Adam's where he goes,
I'm pretty sure Jack won.
but you're wrong.
I will be wrong. But
No,
I did
he's wrong.
finish. Where did you finish in the Drift Games quiz?
Me.
Yeah.
The first one, like 131st or something. The
That's a bit
second
like
one,
Matt yesterday.
Similar to me, mate.
yeah. Well, now look, right. It's easy to say it, right? It's like the time. It's like saying you threw a 180 in darts and no one was there to see it, right? But I was.
Go on, tell us.
Yesterday, when they reset everything.
Yeah.
I was winning basically.
No, you weren't, Matt. You were shit.
I didn't see your name in the top 5 people, Matt. But anyway, so I couldn't get back into the game after that.
Right. But you would have won it.
No, I wouldn't have won it. Definitely not. Because I think Alan only got like 2 questions wrong or something.
It was on cheating, definitely. 100% cheating.
No, he's an absolute drift nerd. So like.
Like, I was like 7th pretty much all the way through, just off of the screen. I kept screenshotting it to Matt and going, I'm going to be on that fucking screen in a minute.
What's your username? So I know.
Simo. Adam Simo.
All right. Okay. That's pretty unoriginal.
Well, I'm thinking about the next one they do, making a better name up, because some of them were brilliant, weren't they?
Oh, some of them are good.
Shitting.
Billy.
Who else, Matt?
Willie, yeah.
Billy.
Oh, yeah, Billy we know Willie.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty much going to spend all week thinking of a good name for next week.
Yeah.
But no, I reckon I would have been top 10 yesterday.
Yeah, Adam, I'm going to ask a question next.
Go on then.
Eddie, what's your first memory of meeting Team Slide?
Oh, don't say this, because I know what it's going to be.
No, that's not, because that's not my first memory.
All right. We don't talk about that one, Eddie.
It sounds like the first memory. That's my worst memory. Purely because I was designated driver that night. That was. But yeah, we won't talk about that one.
I'm sorry about that one, Eddie.
Nah, it's okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you realise, the other person who were with me was Stu Jones, who's now driving for Slide.
Yes. I didn't know.
I didn't think you knew Stu then.
Who did the grab? Stu or you?
Both of us.
Yeah, and there's not much to grab. So.
We might as well tell everyone, aren't you, Eddie? You might as well tell everyone the story now.
Yeah.
We're in a nightclub.
I want to hear it from your perspective, so.
I can't really remember. I got told the morning after. But apparently we were in a nightclub toilet and me and Stu Jones were both trying to hold you willy while you had a wee.
Yeah.
Aggressively, apparently.
Very aggressively.
But yeah, I am sorry about that, Eddie. And
it's okay.
I'll try not to drink so much anymore, so I'm like a reformed character.
Yeah, he says drinks.
Can you have a chat amongst yourselves there for a second while I go and get some ice?
Come on then, hurry up.
I won't be long.
What should we talk about, Adam? How sure a dick Eddie is.
Yeah, proper, isn't
it? Weather's nice, isn't it?
I like your shoes.
I think you're really pretty.
I don't know why he needs ice. If he drunk quicker, he wouldn't need no ice, would he?
I know, he's a bit of a slow drink. I haven't seen him drinking much.
Yeah, Matt, the only reason we didn't grab his knob is because we couldn't find it.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Hang on a second. You can't go from two of you trying to grab it.
We're only winding you up, Eddie. We're only winding
not
you
been
up.
able to find it.
So
if you do find it, let me know, though. It's MIA.
Back to the question what Matt asked you. What was your first memory of Team Slide?
Gotta be... See, Team Slide aren't all that memorable.
Neither's your commentary.
Hey, you can't go back on that. 5 minutes ago, I was the most original commentator going. So
no, I said you just didn't repeat yourself like Dave.
Yeah, don't good grab comments and grown up.
I suppose it probably goes back to the first events that I was ever over at BDC, Lydon and Knockhill.
Knockhill?
Yeah.
No, you didn't commentate at Knockhill, surely.
No, but I was there as a spectator.
Oh, yeah.
All right. What we did?
Back
Me and Dave got in final.
What?
The last year at Knockhill, me and Dave were in final in Pro-Am.
Yeah, I watched that one. Was that live streamed?
Yeah, that was the first year Wando and Ben started commentating, weren't it?
Yeah. So, and who were the commentators before Ben and Wando?
Motte, Paul Mott, and yes. Cale.
Yeah, because I remember going to, I'm gonna say Lydon Hill, and
was that when all Irish people went out on Lash, and they come back on the Sunday morning and everybody rang it?
I'm sure the Irish people always go out.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, no, I remember like the guys were standing in the middle of the circuit commentating. Like there was no commentary tower and like that.
Like the sausage bit in middle, the grass.
Yeah. And it's just, I mean, I think drifting was so great back then as it was, and you look where it is now, and it's like, how did we ever get here? Like, you know?
Is that like one of the reasons why you're going back to the no live stream, or is it just purely for cost reasons?
Yeah, like it's, do you know what? I think the live stream one is a real kind of double-edged sword in that you want to get people through the gate to watch it as it happens. You know what I mean? Be there to experience it, because that's the best way to experience it. But also, one of the, I suppose, the biggest downsides to me to losing live stream is that you lose the ability to look back on it. You know, so once it's happened, and it's like, you know, you can't revisit it. So that's a bit of a negative to me. And I do like the fact that, say, you know, we have so many passionate fans, and particularly because we've had Mitch Larner come over and compete for so long here, we have a lot of passionate fans in Australia who want to see it. And like, as you know, a lot of the time when we're streaming events, it's 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning in Australia, and these guys are staying up even though they've got work the next day. And I love that side of it. But for the first year,
but at least if there's no live stream, you'll not have to, like, there'll be no proof about the judges keeping the Irish streak going.
Well, you see, what a lot of people don't know, Simo, is that is the reason why Dave has had to bow out of competitive drifting, because he's financially bankrupt because of all the bribes he had to keep that streak. But and I mean,
I'm only joking with that.
It's costing James a fortune over in over in FD, like, you know. It's funny because, you know, a good number of years ago, James used to get booed in Ireland. I don't know if you guys knew this, probably you did, but because James won so pretty much every time he was out on track, like, people just booed him because they were sick of seeing him win.
They did it in Irwindale last year, didn't they?
Yeah. And when he went to FD, he was kind of, obviously for the last number of years that he competed in Ireland, he was maybe doing select events, and, you know, there was really amazing battles with the likes of the Shanahans and Dwayne. So people kind of appreciated him a lot more. And anyway, and everybody loved it, because, like, it's no longer Chris Forsberg gets the win, but now it's James Dean gets the win, and, you know, he's become victim of his own success again. So, like, it's, I don't know.
I think
it's
the
a funny
first year he won it, we all went over, didn't we, to watch?
Yes.
Yeah.
The atmosphere there was unreal, weren't it? Like, even like all the Americans clapping him, and then literally see 2 years later all the Americans booing him it's like.
I've got to stop you, Simo. We'll come back to that in a second. I know it's your show and everything, but we're 2 minutes past the Neil Dunn clap.
What?
The Neil Dunn clap.
It's not Thursday.
Oh, it's only on Thursday you do that?
No, on a Thursday, everybody claps for the NHS.
Oh, do you not do that every night?
No, it's just on a Thursday night. At 8
fuck.
o'clock. 8 o'clock on a Thursday, everybody claps for the NHS. And obviously I could hear him, Matt could hear him. They set fireworks off and everything over here, Eddie.
It's the place
They
to
not
be.
do it in Ireland?
It's better than a drift event.
Yeah.
Better than a BDC event, maybe.
It's like every Thursday at 8 o'clock. It's like that time when Connor won James Dean at Clock. We got fireworks and everyone clapping.
He didn't win them.
Did he not?
That wasn't the prize. Like, the prize wasn't James Dean.
But anyway, we'll go on to the next question. We're now on to ones that we've been asking everybody.
Yeah.
In fact, before we start them, who do you think that me and Matt should speak to next? Is there any drivers or BDC people or Irish people you think we should speak to?
The people have to be interesting. They've got to want to have a beer and have a laugh.
Do you know who you should speak to?
Who?
If you want to laugh, speak to Mike Fitzgerald.
Oh,
Yeah.
Because, and you know what? Get him, and this was a show that I was going to do myself, but I'm not arsed just doing it just for one show.
Nobody watches ours anyway, just like no one listened to yours, Eddie. So
yeah, that's the real reason why I stopped doing it.
We just like have a beer and a chat shit.
No, get Mike Fitzgerald on with Charlie Geary to talk about funny stories from early days of Irish drifting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be a really good show. And it'd be funny.
The first time we met Mike Fitz was at NEC, right, Matt?
Yeah.
And we got him absolutely. He was flying home at like 6 o'clock in the morning. And like he were in the same hotel as us, and DMAC went to bed. And Mike Fitz stayed up till like fucking 5 or something, didn't
he? Yeah.
They were like loads of foreign guys and that, weren't they?
Mm.
But yeah,
they got a bit messy.
It was an eventful evening.
Like, don't restrict yourself to an hour, because I rang him last week and I ended up my arm lost the ability to move, and when I hung up the phone, I was like, we were on the phone for 3 hours talking shit.
To an hour. If I do more than an hour, then I start giving away too many secrets and stuff because I'm too back.
Yeah, he has a few too many beers.
Yeah.
But now back onto the questions we've been asking everyone. Who do you think's going to win Pro and Pro 2 in BDC? But obviously, because you're running IDS, who do we think's going to win the Pro and Pro Am in Ireland as well?
Well, I was expecting that question. I think it's a really interesting one from 2 points of view. One, obviously with all the uncertainty, a lot of people haven't fully bought in yet. So we don't actually know our full grid, and we also haven't announced any of our drivers yet. So I kind of can't give away too many secrets there. But I do think Alan Hines will be very hard to beat in Pro.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to be the one that sets the bar. But I do think that if Charlie Geary can have his Barra engine running without any problems, he's going to be in contention.
Is it tested?
No.
I know they got it running, but it's not properly tested.
It's not blow up on dyno or something, so they built a new one.
Yeah, they bought two of them originally, and I think the first one was a bad engine, and they've now built the second one. I think the second one is dynoed and ready to go, but he's due to leave the country for Australia at the end of the year, and he was really eager to be involved this year. And I remember I spoke to him earlier on the year, and I spoke to him on my podcast, and he believes that he can do it. And Charlie was always one of those drivers that on his day was very difficult to beat.
Yeah.
So definitely one to watch.
Is he taking his car over to Australia with you?
I believe the car will be staying in Ireland.
Right.
And I don't know his exact plans, but I believe the car will be staying in Ireland. He's got some good connections over in Australia now as well. But obviously, I hope that for his sake that he's able to get there at the end of the year. But I mean, the world's going to be a completely different place by the time that comes along. So we'll see how that is. But he'll definitely be a contender. I think Niall Murray is moving up as well, and he's got
He's moving into the pro class.
Yeah.
Is that the guy with the white? Is that who you had on your podcast before with the white 13?
Yes, the PS. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got an incredible motorsport background, and we didn't see a whole lot from him in the nationals. He didn't compete a couple of rounds because he does a lot of circuit racing, obviously, as well. But his commitment is to drifting for the foreseeable future. And
just to say before you, if anybody who's listening, that podcast what Eddie did with him is well worth a listen, because he talks a lot about his circuit racing and stuff like that, and he's pretty involved with racing and is a really good driver. And for him to make the jump to drifting is like
a big thing.
Yeah,
it's in for the season. Obviously, it's limiting depending on what its travel and stuff, whether he can even get over it and out. But it was before all this, he were committed and paid up for the year. So it's good.
Oh,
good
3DC.
Yeah. I know when I spoke to him, he said that he was eager to get as much time behind the wheel, and he was like practice days are great, but it's the wrong type of practice because
you can't practice competition.
There's nobody is going into the corner trying to hit a certain, at practice day. No, they're just trying to get around the corner. So you could be behind James Dean, but he could go into that corner 20 different ways in 20 different laps just because there's no marking. So to try and follow
you've got the pressure on you as well, have you?
Yeah, and you just can't predict what the lead car is going to do. So it's kind of is it useful? In some ways it is, but he's very eager to get as many competition days under his belt as possible. And I remember watching him at Japfest last year when he competed in the Drift Games Extreme class. And he was granted a license for the Extreme class for that round. And
did he not get punted into the wall a couple of times and his crew still managed to get his car out? That's what I was watching. That's what I thought was quite impressive. He's obviously coming from the racing side of it, but the crew he's bringing with him, he's got a serious crew behind him to get his car back out in 5 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And they've got a wealth of experience, but the car certainly seemed to, and his own ability as well, seemed to shine with when he wasn't restricted to road tires.
Yeah.
When he was able to run the likes of a Westlake tire, like a slick or whatever, it was a lot more, or a semi-slick rather. It was his own ability and the car's ability was able to kind of shine through a lot more, and we've seen that in the past with the likes of Conor Shannon as well, where the car is just designed to be on a semi-slick rather than a road tire.
Is the IDS still using the road tire, or are you opening it up to semi-slick?
So for the Pro-Am guys, it will be the rule is essentially the same as it was for the Drift Games Nationals, in that it's a road tire, but they were restricted to a Westlake road tire last year, whereas now they can run any road pattern tire that they want.
Is that not a bit of a... So, if somebody turns up with an R888, which is a road tire, or is that not classed as a road tire? Where do you cut the line for a road tire?
No, it wouldn't be classed as a road legal tire.
But they are road legal, though, aren't they?
Not in Ireland, as far as I'm aware.
Oh, right. Or say a Uniroyal Rain Sport, which is a very grippy road tyre, what a lot of people run out front of the drift cars, where they do over here. So would you be allowed to run that on the back?
Yeah.
Sorry, Eddie.
Sorry, and he's pulling his rules to pieces, or what? Poor lad.
No comment.
No comment, right. Yeah.
Forget about that bit. I'll cut that bit
something
out.
To look into, but No. Look, your run of the mill road pattern tire is if it's legal to run on your road car is
something that's not sticky and cost stupid money, basically, like a budget road car.
And the idea behind it is that a lot of people really liked the control tire. What they didn't like about it was that they weren't free to decide on what tire that they wanted. So some guy, like, as I'm sure you know yourself, Matt, very few, if any, drivers are completely on a tire deal in Ireland or the UK. But they may have had, a small deal with their local tire fitter or their local tire company, or with a tire brand, and they might have been getting them at a reasonable price. So we're allowing drivers that option.
Yeah. Do you know what I would genuinely do? I make the drivers have to contact you to petition to be allowed to use a certain tyre, so that it's not just because it's like Adam says, there's certain brands of road tyres that are way grippier and way expensive. So what you're doing is a great idea and it works brilliantly, but there needs to be some form of restriction. So if people can say, I want to use X, Y, and Z tyre, you have a quick look. Yeah, it's a budget or a mid-range tyre. Yeah, we're happy to use that. It could work well.
The only reason I mentioned it is because there is some road tyres that are really good, but they'll only last like 2 laps, just same as a Westlake would.
Yeah.
So you can kind of, it's like what happened with BDC, weren't it, years ago, when they had the road tyre ruling and stuff, no semi-slick.
Yeah.
But then when Westlakes come in, they were down as like 260 treadwear, which they're clearly not, are they?
Mm.
And that's what ruined everything. But we'll leave that for another. That's another conversation, totally. Back to his question, Eddie. Who do we think's going to win? Obviously, you said your pro drivers. We've got a semi-pro driver for IDC, IDS, and then a BDC pro and pro-am driver.
So I think pro is nearly like the easy one because you know who's going to be there. Pro-am is always that little bit more tricky because you have guys that just come out of the woodwork. I have been promised that we got a young driver coming through who's going to excel, but I can't comment because I haven't seen him drive. But I think
what's his name rhyme with?
What?
What's his name rhyme with?
See, I can't actually. I can't pronounce his name properly.
Just tell us his name then.
No,
if you don't know how to say it.
I don't want to go on record as trying to say his name. But there is one person I'm eager to see is Blaine Rafferty. I don't know if you're familiar with an event that happens in Ireland towards the end of the year in Tullyroan Oval. Kevin Quinn organises it.
Yeah.
And Mitch Larner stayed on last year after Jackfest in order to drive at it. And afterwards, he commented on Blaine Rafferty as being an extremely. He ended up battling him. He commented on him as being a very talented driver.
Did he not drive at BDC a couple of years ago at Driftland? In a 330, 36?
I think.
Yes, that's the guy. So he's moved over to. Do you remember Damien Wilkinson, who would have competed in the BDC as well?
Yeah.
He bought his 180. So I'm very eager to see how he performs behind the wheel of a car that's a little bit more capable. He is one of the many drivers in Ireland who is doing a lot of practice days, and up until everything was shut down because of COVID, a lot of the pro-am guys were getting a lot of seat time, and that really excites me because you see so many guys improve massively when they come back out on track. But I think that's who I'm eager to see. But I just think pro-am is just too hard to call because you could have a guy that you've never seen drive before come to round one and just absolutely blitz it, which we've seen so many times. And there's so many drivers in the north of Ireland who are just unbelievable, and you never know about them until
they come to IDC.
Yeah, until they come to the events and you're just like, who the fuck is that guy?
So what about the UK?
The UK.
Have you watched any BDC this year? Last year?
Last year, yeah. I watched pretty much all of the events. I thought it was like an incredibly interesting year of BDC because you never knew what was going to happen. I'm very excited to see what Oliver Evans does now as, you know, the reigning champion. He's got that epic build, that S15, and he's always been one of those drivers that just lacked consistency. But when
he
he's on
turns it
his
up
day,
to 12, doesn't he, rather than turn it up to 9?
Yeah,
if he could keep it at a 9.5 rather than a 12, then it'd be fine.
Fine, yeah.
But he's always exciting to watch.
That's what makes him exciting, is that you know, it won't always work, but when it does, it's magic, you know. I thought Martin Wanacott had a fantastic season last year. I think Vasquez is probably kicking himself because, you know, he had one, if not 2 rounds of just, you know, where he goes from podiums to not even qualifying.
I knocked him out at last round. I've watched it back a few times, and I don't think I should have. Like, not slagging judging her out, but I think he should have gone through there. Like, but
you had a good season last year, though. What was it, 4th or 5th? You finished in championship?
Yeah, 4th. But it's not about me, Eddie. It's about the other people.
Why is it not about you? Are you competing in 2020?
No, Matt's not letting me.
Why not?
No, he's really. No, I'm driving, but I'm not. We're not here to talk about what I'm doing. 'Cause everybody keeps saying me, and I think it's just because I'm in front of them.
But I think you've got some drivers coming up, though, that I think are going to cause problems. Price Edwards is a fantastic driver. He's in your pro now, isn't he?
Who?
Louis Price Edwards.
Yeah, Louis Edwards.
Yeah.
Is he Pro-Am champion in BDC?
Yeah.
Pro-Am, yeah.
Yeah. Or it's Pro 2 now you're calling it, is that right?
Pro 2.
Yeah. Very Americanized.
Are you doing it? Are you doing swapping already?
No.
Why are you so against it?
Because we set the standard.
He likes to label the Irish as the amateurs, you know? Whereas I think the English guys, the UK guys, deserve more. The pro.
Yeah, but it keeps our guys hungry, you know.
It.
So, and Josh King.
Yeah.
He's coming up to pro.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, maybe not a championship contender straight off, but definitely one to watch. You know, and it's a huge step up, obviously, from Pro-Am to pro. So, I mean, would you expect either of those two guys to win a pro championship? No, you wouldn't expect it. But
personally,
if it happens,
I don't.
Prize either.
The thing that obviously, don't get me wrong, all the lads coming up, really, really good drivers. But when you see them in the pro class, they've already done full day's drifting on that track on them clipping points before they get to the pro class on the Sunday.
Yeah.
So everyone watches them on Sunday and goes, they're fucking amazing. But they've already had a full day's practice when the pros aren't. So you've always got that bit there as well, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? So we'll be as good without any practice.
When Josh King beats you now at round 1.
Oh, mate, I'll hold my hands up and I'll be like, fair play to you, Josh. You know me, Matt. I'm not fucking... I don't know. I'm just saying, like, there is always that thing there. Who do you think about Pro 2, Eddie? Or it's same as Ireland, where you ain't got a clue?
I'm going to have to plead the fifth on this one because I'm not too sure. How many people went up from Pro 2 to Pro?
10, I think.
10. So, yeah, it'd be a hard one for me to call. And again,
I suppose you've not seen any Drift Cup, have you? So
no, is Max Cotton going to be competing?
No.
It was Drift Cup.
Still Drift Cup, okay. Yeah, so I mean, it's hard for me to make a call on that one because, especially having spent a year out from commentating there, I wouldn't be as familiar with all the drivers. But when you take, say, the top 10 out of it, it's very hard. It kind of becomes anybody's game after that. And I'm sure there'll be new drivers coming in from Drift Cup that I won't have heard of that'll announce themselves onto the scene. So you'll have to forgive me the answer on that one.
So we're in a driver's point of view here, Eddie. So if you pulled up to BDC, or we'll let you use Ireland as well. If you pulled up to like IDS or BDC, car breaks getting it off at trailer, you'll have to pick any other driver's car to use for the weekend. Whose car would you use?
Whew. That's a question.
10.
Well, what event am I at? Am I at an event in Ireland or am I at an event in the BDC? So
either or. You can pick
narrow
either
it down. Yeah, but now I'm thinking on both sides.
BDC.
I think I'd love to drive like. I'm going to be honest. Your Z4,
you won't be able to see over the steering wheel.
Well, it doesn't matter. I wouldn't be able to see over the steering wheel in any of the cars.
Yeah.
I think Wannacott's Chaser.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just love how he styles it really well, and no issue getting to the wall.
Yeah. So. Hayden Cruikshank is has built one exactly the same. Like visually, it looks the same outside, same body kit and stuff, but it's got 1,000 horsepower supercharged LS in it. So you're an LS man or a JZ man?
Oh, sorry. Actually, do you know what? Who drove the Merc, the diesel Merc?
Oh, Ben Rowland.
Ben Rowland. That's the car. That car.
Have you seen what he's building at minute? I don't know if you. I saw it pop up on Facebook. He's building a Audi like D-Max.
Oh yes, I did see this.
But he'll probably have it finished before D-Max. So.
Yeah, oh well. If he ever finishes it, he'll have it finished before D-Max.
Yeah. But you drive that Merc?
If it was in Ireland, I'd genuinely be torn between Jack's GT86 because I love it. I think GT86s are like the future of drifting in Ireland and the UK and probably Europe. And Dwayne's 180 just because it's just obnoxious.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
So who is your favourite driver? Who's the one that you look up to who you go, he's the fucking boy?
Well, I look up to most of them.
You got to pick one, Eddie. We don't want none of these shit answers.
I look up to most of them, but I look up to James the most because he's the tallest. No, just in general, is it?
Yeah, just in general, your favourite driver. Worldwide.
Favourite driver worldwide. I really like. There's a good number of European drivers that I really like Tor Arnikavia. And I think he's I think there's so many drivers that are kind of made look a lot less impressive than what they are because of how good James is,
Yeah.
But Tor Arnikavia is really, really exciting driver. I think there's a lot of very exciting Polish drivers, but they're the kind of drivers that are track drivers, so they're really good on certain style tracks. And then you'd see them another day, and they just don't, they don't do anything, And unless you go or follow the European Series, you wouldn't really see them. But Tor Arnikavia is one of my favorite drivers. One of the ones that I think is most exciting.
I think he's the most. Wando interviewed me somewhere and asked me about Drift Masters, and he was my pick, for who were the best in Drift Masters, the one that stands out. But yeah, that is all my questions for you, Mr. Power. Have you got any questions for me or Matt? I have pre-warned you on this one, so
yeah. So,
good.
I might have a few questions for you.
That could be on your podcast if you've got that many, pal.
No. So they're short and sweet. The first one is, what's the most ridiculous thing you've bought online since the fucking lockdown started? Because that's all I've been doing is online shopping, and that's the both of you.
So for me, is absolutely nothing. I've been on lockdown and I'm self-employed, and I haven't been self-employed long enough to claim any of the benefits and stuff. So I've literally had no money coming in, so I haven't bought out apart from beer and fags. And I've just been talking to everybody.
You didn't get them online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about me? I have
mannequins.
a silly size turbo.
Oh yeah.
A few LS bits to get my car back together. Silly size turbo and engine.
I think if you put it inside your Eddie's head, that square there that's left, move your head to the left a bit, Eddie. Right. Yeah, his turbo would fit there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's that big.
They say it's not about size, but let's be honest.
It's about the motion in the ocean. So next question, I think I've only two more, is in the history of the BDC, leaving out any Irish drivers. I was going to say what would be your ideal or your top grade 8, but we'll make it a little bit easier. Who are your top 5 UK drivers in the history of the BDC? And again, that's to both of you.
I can think of 4 straight off top of my head.
Go on then. Oh, in fact,
Matt Carter, Martin Richards, Cy Perry, David Waterworth.
I'd have gone definitely.
And then Ollie Evans. That finishes my 5.
Definitely Matt Carter. Definitely Martin Richards. I would put Bill Morrison in there.
Oh yeah, I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
I would also put.
Mark Rooney.
I'd put Bagsy in there for more overall stuff that he's done, achieved. But you can't knock him. He's done well in drifting as well. And
the drifting's only 10% of it's on track, isn't it? So
90%
Bagsy excels at the other 90%.
That's it. I think Bagsy's probably is he the most successful drifter in the UK?
100%. How many other UK drivers do you know who drive all around Europe as well as do grid life in America? Nobody.
Who else would I say? I mean, Looney was a savage driver, but I don't know. He weren't.
He'd be in the top 8 of UK drifters, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, Huxley's got some negatives to him, but what's that?
Yeah.
Like
Huxley.
Yeah, he ticks a lot of exciting boxes. Who else? There's another
There's loads, isn't there?
When you start thinking about
it, after all this, like you've asked us that top 8, would you two? Obviously, this is a question I've not even spoke to Matt about or you. Would you be interested in taking, say, the top 18 from Pro in Ireland, the top 18 from the Pro in UK?
Top 18?
Yeah, because 2 people's cars are going to break, aren't they?
Right, okay. I wonder where
you'd have to take the 18 rather than 16.
Yeah, we've done that for a while.
And doing an event in at Anglesey, the top 32 for England versus Ireland. But in qualifying, you have the Irish qualifying and English qualifying.
Do you want me to answer? The problem with this, you could make it an amazing event, and probably at some point I'd love to do that and be part of it and actually sort it. But your problem with all these top name drivers is they're all top name drivers who are I'm trying to think of a nice word that doesn't slate top name drivers. But
I think if you use Sweeps contacted me about this, right? A few months back, and the biggest challenge with all of this is when do you hold the event? Because these type of events have happened in the past, and there's a trophy sitting in Dave Egan's house somewhere, where it was Ireland.
Why Dave didn't win it, did he?
Because he was team captain, and James won. He brought James Dean, so it was so he has the trophy. But the thing about it is that it's changed so much in 4 or 5 years that it's for the top guys, it's a profession almost.
Well, no, I'm not saying it with James Dean, Jack Shanahan, and they're included. I'm saying the top 18 from the BDC.
Savage, yeah, it'd be a savage
And the
event.
top 18 from IDS. So
Yeah.
not your Euro drive, like your people who've gone to Drift Masters. They're not included unless they get into that top 18.
If you did it at the end of the year, it would work, you know. The only problem is the weather is going to be crap. Then it's going to be crap in the BDC anyway. But
It'd be crap in Ireland and all. We've been here a couple of times when it's rained, pal. Hang on. Can you remember Drift Masters where they had to change track as soon as James Dean crashed?
That was a European event.
Yeah, it was quite funny though,
It was
weren't
fine
it?
on Saturday.
Yeah, it's fine. James Dean crashed and they went, something's fucking wrong here. We've got to change track.
Yeah. Can you imagine that in like golf? You know, Tiger Woods makes a bogey and they
move on.
Move on. That hole's no longer playable.
But no, could that be something that we'd see in future from you two?
Never say never.
It's the type of thing I'd love to look at, but I'd love to look at it at the right time of year. So if it was a case that say we could do it in the month of June and there was no events in BDC or IDS in June, and you could slap it in the middle of the season.
Can you not just do it like the weekend after the final round?
There's nothing on in June.
Is it not?
There's nothing on in June this year.
Yes,
There's not been on all year, you twat.
They'll just run it next month. Don't tell anyone though.
Don't tell anyone. Yeah.
Who are you taking your top 18? Are you going off last year's top 18?
Who are you asking?
Both of you.
I don't want to.
Eddie's froze, look at his eyes.
I just fell asleep because you're that ball. I'm not picking a top 18 now. Not a chance.
I lost you there for a second.
No, that's what I'm saying. You'd have to go off of the previous season's points.
No,
I don't want you just picking the top 18. I want it to be like a proven one off of the championship.
No, I'll pick a dream team.
No, because then it just turns out like every other event. When you pick
Matt, let's be honest. Pick whoever and say yes.
It's just a popularity contest.
No, it isn't.
Who's been sucking you off?
Wait up.
Whereas if it's the championship, it is actually the right people who should be there.
Adam, hold on 1 second then, right? So what about the likes of Josh King or any others who finished top of Pro 2 last year?
Yeah.
Would you not include them?
No, because he weren't in Pro last year.
Well, I think you're missing out some key.
Anyway.
Well, hang on, man. Did Josh not get to compete in Pro on the Sunday?
In fact, I bet Josh finished top 18 in Pro last year. He drove in 4 events.
Yeah, he probably did.
So fuck you, Steve.
Anyway, Alan Hines would win it for me. It's all right. I don't need to worry.
He won't because we won't have Irish judges. No, I'm only joking. Alan is he's the boy. But we've been going an hour and a half, boys, and
yeah, you're rattling
I'm a bit drunk now, so we're rattling on a bit. And yeah, if anybody who's watching, if you've watched this far, you deserve a round of applause. Leave in the comments who you want to, if you want to chat to anybody else, leave it in comments. Thank you for chatting to us, Eddie. It's been emotional.
It's been a pleasure.
And we shall see you later, pal.
Hopefully at a BDC event in 2020.
Definitely at a BDC
or an IDS event.
See you soon, everyone.
See you later, guys. Cheers, Eddie.
Thank you.